Do you always lose at Monopoly and wonder why? Well, let's dive into the heart of the matter. Monopoly, much like life, is all about making smart decisions from the get-go. The initial rounds of the game are pivotal in setting the pace. Think of it as the foundation of a skyscraper. If it's solid, the structure stands tall. If it's shaky, well, you get the idea. Success in Monopoly doesn't just happen by chance. It's a culmination of strategic moves, right from the start. This includes choosing the right properties, managing your cash wisely, and making timely decisions. Remember, each decision you make in the early stages can have a profound impact on the rest of the game. And yes, there will be surprises, and not all of them pleasant. But that's the beauty of it, isn't it? The unexpected twists and turns, the thrill of the roll of the dice. Remember, a good start can set you up for a successful game. So let's get started, shall we? Do you hoard properties thinking it'll make you rich in Monopoly? Think again. Let's get one thing straight. Wealth doesn't necessarily equate to income, especially in Monopoly. It's a common misconception that amassing a ton of properties will pave your way to victory. But let's face it, having a fistful of random deeds won't do you much good if you're not strategically utilizing them to generate income. Think about it this way. In real life, owning 5 houses on the outskirts of the city might seem like a lucrative venture, but it's not likely to bring in as much revenue as owning a single property downtown. Why? Because the central location has a higher demand, which means more customers and ultimately more income. The same principle applies to Monopoly. Sure, it's great to own a bunch of properties, but the real game changer lies in owning the right properties. Wealth in Monopoly isn't about the quantity of your properties, but the quality. It's about strategizing, choosing the right properties that can yield higher returns, and making smart investments. It's about placing your houses and hotels where they'll make the most money, not where they'll look the prettiest on the board. It's about understanding the value each property brings to your empire and leveraging that to your advantage. So remember, it's not about how many, but about which ones you own. Ever found yourself bankrupt after a trip to the board's most expensive street? It's a common plight among Monopoly players, but here's the secret to avoiding that pitfall. Liquidity is key. It's not just about acquiring properties, it's about managing your money wisely. Imagine you're sailing through the game, collecting properties left and right. Suddenly you land on Park Place with a hotel on it. Bam! You're hit with a rent bill that's off the charts. If you've invested all your money in properties, you're in trouble. You might have to sell your properties at a loss or even mortgage them just to stay in the game. That's why keeping a healthy balance of cash on hand is crucial. It allows you to pay off unexpected expenses without sacrificing your assets. It's like having a safety net that catches you when you fall. So remember, don't just focus on property acquisition. Keep your cash flow healthy. It'll keep you in the game. Ever held onto a property because you just liked it? We've all been there, clutching onto that tiny piece of cardboard as if it held sentimental value. But let's be clear, folks, this is Monopoly, not memory lane. In this game, it's important not to let your emotions cloud your judgment. That railroad you're so fond of? It might be the very thing that's holding you back from a big win. There's a real danger in developing an attachment to properties that don't contribute to your cash flow. Sure, it may feel grand to own Park Place, but if it's not generating enough income, it's simply not worth it. And that's where strategic decision-making comes into play. You've got to be willing to let go, to sell or trade, even if it's a property you're fond of. This isn't just about accumulating assets, it's about optimizing them. Sometimes you might even have to sell a beloved property at the end of the game at a high price. That's because the objective of the game isn't to amass wealth, but to make others go bankrupt. Patience is key here. Wait for the right moment, the right deal, the right roll of the dice that could tip the scales in your favor. It's a delicate balance of strategy and chance, of risk and reward. Remember, in Monopoly, it's business, not personal. Do you play Monopoly with a plan or just wing it? Now let's talk about the importance of having a game plan. In Monopoly, just as in life, having a plan can mean the difference between victory and defeat. Every roll of the dice can change your fortunes, but if you have a plan, you can adapt and react more effectively. Think of it this way. Monopoly is a bit like a chess game. Each player and property has a role to play. and understanding how they work together can give you an edge over your opponents. Do you focus on acquiring railroads or utilities? Do you aim for the priciest properties or the most affordable ones? Different strategies can work for different players, depending on your style of play and the dynamics of the game. Remember, the key is to be flexible and adaptable. Your plan should guide you but not constrain you. So next time you play, have a plan. Ever thought about making your own rules in Monopoly? Now, don't get me wrong, we're not talking about cheating here. We're discussing creative strategies, bending the rules without breaking them. The magic of Monopoly, like many things in life, is that it's not confined to a rigid set of instructions. For instance, consider this. Who says you can't be a lender in the game? Monopoly doesn't prohibit lending money to other players with interest. You've got cash, they're in a bind, and you strike a deal. It's an unexpected strategy, but it can provide you a steady stream of income and keep your competitors on their toes. And how about creating alliances? Nothing in the rulebook says you can't form temporary partnerships. You scratch my back, I scratch yours. This way you can help each other out, make strategic trades, and even plot against other players. Or perhaps you could introduce a rental agreement. If a player lands on your property and can't afford the rent, offer them a deal. They can stay if they agree to pay you a smaller fee each time they pass go until the debt's paid off. So don't be afraid to think outside the box. It might just win you the game. So, ready to be the next Monopoly champion? Let's circle back and review the strategies we've discussed. Firstly, we learned that wealth does not equal income. It's not about how many properties you own, but rather the quality of those properties. Having a few high-value properties can generate more income than a plethora of lesser ones. Just like in real life, location and demand are key. Secondly, we emphasize the importance of liquidity. Having cash on hand for unexpected events is crucial in Monopoly. You never know when you'll land on an opponent's hotel or get hit with a hefty card penalty. Thirdly, we talked about not getting attached to properties. Remember, this is a game of strategy, not sentimentality. If a property isn't generating income, sell it, and patience is a virtue. Wait for the right moment to make your move, even if it's in the final rounds. Fourthly, we highlighted the need for a plan. Each player's strategy will vary. Some may focus on acquiring railroads, while others may aim for high-value properties. The key is to have a strategy and stick to it. Lastly, we encouraged thinking outside the box. Who says you can't lend money with interest or negotiate unconventional trades? Monopoly isn't just about following the rules, it's about finding creative ways to win. Each of these tips is like a tool in your Monopoly toolkit. When used correctly, they can significantly increase your chances of winning. But remember, the ultimate objective of the game is not to get rich, but rather to outwit and outmaneuver your opponents. In conclusion, Monopoly isn't just a game of chance, it's a game of strategy, patience, and innovation. And now, you're equipped with 7 proven tips to help you get ahead. Remember these tips and you'll be on your way to becoming a Monopoly master. Ready to play?